Hi everyone, how you going? It's 7 o'clock. We're going to give 10 minutes or so just to allow for people to come in, because I've let people on TikTok know that we're doing this, and I've let other people know. And Amanda from Sano7 is going to be joining us shortly. So give chance for Facebook to do its late notifications, which it quite often does. So yeah, just bear with me, and we'll get started shortly. I'll just wait. I can see from here at the moment that Facebook's still lagging in its notifications, but we'll just give a few minutes for people to come in and get the ball rolling. We're going to talk about the bill that was tabled today to scrap the cashless debit card, and we're going to talk about the nuances with the basics card as well, because we knew this was going to happen. There's lots of confusion about the basics card, and there's people jumping to conclusions without knowing all the stuff. So Amanda's going to come and join us shortly in the live and explain it to people. And yeah, because we've been trolled like you wouldn't believe. Amanda's just copped it all afternoon from people who don't seem to understand. The cashless debit card is ending. The basics card is a different thing altogether. Untangling the two bills has to be done first. Cashless debit card has to go first. And it's going. So, yeah. Oh, we're getting there. So just bear with me for a minute. I'm just waiting for people to come in, and so, oh dear. So it's been a busy afternoon. So it will be interesting. Hi Ruth, how you going? So, let's give it a few more minutes, and hello to everybody that's here. Oh dear. Oh. Pix is busy digging up her igloo. I don't know why. What are you doing, Pix? What are you doing? Pix, what are you doing? I'm just waiting. I'll give it a couple of minutes. I'm waiting for... Try under your own name, Amanda. Okay? Come in under your own name. And that way you get the green camera. And then I can let you in. Doing it under my profile, it won't let you do it because I'm already here. No cashless debit card is already... Australia's already here. And that's the issue. Oh dear. Oh God, so Pixie's in a sooky mood tonight. No worries, Jane. Oh. No worries, Jono. Hi, Tanya. So, yeah, I'm just waiting for a minute. Hey, how you going? Hang on a second. No, we can't take a weather and break because we've still got to carry this through until it's finished, Ruth. You know what I mean? Okay. Now I can let Amanda in. So bear with me for a minute, people. It's for 10 at a time. I just had my dinner, stuffed it down my gob, tried to charge up my phone a bit because I've been a bit busy. and I needed to charge my phone and scoff my dinner. And we'll just wait. And if I lose volume all of a sudden, here we go.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
How are you all?
No, yeah.
It's very cold, Japanese, so I'm still.
I'm actually having a smoke, so because, yeah, so.
Yeah, look, it's going to be out of sync because we're in two different states, 3,000 kilometres apart. We're both on different phones, and this is just how it's going to be. So
And
I can't sign anymore. I used to be quite fluent in Auslan, and I'm just, yeah, brain's not working. So we're going to do the best we can tonight. Okay, yeah. Hi, everybody.
So if I'm out of sync, it was because I was getting messages coming through when I was setting up the live, and the ding, ding, ding throws it out of sync.
Yeah.
So
okay. We have a lot of issues we have to get through. So is it all right if I just take the floor for a little minute?
No. Yeah, you just do it. Okay.
Right. Today there's been some press, especially from anti-poverty groups and things like that, saying a lot of things that aren't actually true. And we need to address those issues straight up. Okay. First of all, it's a good bill. Okay. I've read the bill. I've gone right through the bill. It's a very big and consolidated bill. It does everything it has to do. Okay, it has to separate basics from the CDC in the CDC legislation. Okay, so that's what this bill has to do, because what NLP did in 2020, remember the big bill, they merged CDC and the basics card into what is known as transition to CDC legislation. Okay, yeah. That mushed all the eggs of the basics card and the cashless debit card, the legislation, the laws together. So this bill separates CDC from basics cards again, so that so that the CDC can be repealed right now. This bill is the repealing bill. It ends the cashless debit card. But in order to do that, it has to separate Basics IM and the CDC. All right? In order to not dump people who are on, anyone that was on the basics that is now on the CDC can apply to exit in this bill. They will be able to apply to exit this bill. And if a determination is made they're allowed to exit, that they don't meet child protection criteria or any of the other big criteria for staying on income management, you know, there should be, that determination can be made. And so long as that determination is made between close-up time and repeal day, then they're off the card, they're off income management. Those who opt out at that point but do come under the criteria for income management, which is a pretty strict criteria now for them, they will go back onto IM, okay, and await the changes to the basics card legislation that is coming in October. Let me be 100% clear. Nothing can happen to basics card income management until October, nothing at all. All right, and I want to make another point really, really clear. ALP committed to ending the CDC entirely. That was the commitment that were made. Repeal, get rid of, throw it out the window. Okay, this bill does that. Commitment fulfilled. Income management was always a separate issue, and only the NLP, trying to get all the people on basics onto CDC, mushed the two together. But the ALP policy on income management, which is a different, it's still forced and compulsory at this time, all right, and will remain so for another 2 months. That's it. After 15 years, it will remain compulsory for another 2 months. Till that legislation, the legislative instruments come up, okay? Because they can't, they're 10 years old. They have to come up at certain points before they can be changed. So nothing can happen there. So at the moment, compulsory basics cards is still in place and will be in place after this bill. But all the things that you see in this bill when you read it about income management, about putting people back on income management, is to separate people who are regionally and geographically in the areas of income management zones, so they still get their money and their income at all. Okay, because otherwise they would be cut off and then have to reapply for Centrelink. So the drama that they would have to go through. So this is a 2-month delay. So that in 2 months' time, when the ALP come back with another bill after consulting with communities about what they want, what they need going forward, not us, not you, what those communities really need. They can come back and make the changes. And in this bill, there's a beautiful little line that enables them to do that. It's not just putting people back on forced income management. It's any changes. The minister has given herself the capacity here to make any changes to the basics card legislation in this bill. Okay, so that's really important. All these things are there for a reason, and understanding what has happened since 2020, I get it. And I'm sorry that there's a lot of, excuse my French, everyone, a lot of arseholes who deliberately and willfully do not get it, who are out there making noise right now. Okay, and I'm really ashamed that some of them are names that have been allies of us in the past, because this bill sets the stage for the change to basics card. But ALP have never said they were going to get rid of IM, income management, ever.
No.
They said they were going to make it voluntary. And that's as much as legally possible, because there are court-ordered income management programs in place. All right, they exist for a damn good reason, okay? All right, those things exist for a reason, for child protection and other reasons. I'm not going to go in here. These compulsory parts of that program will have to remain. They are part of a legal and social justice system that works and is there. And there's the Community of the Families Responsibilities Commission. They want to stay on IM, on income management, which is basics cards. They want that for there's like 300 or so people. There's 3 communities or 4 communities up there, and they want to continue. They should have the right to continue that. And it's not up for little old white me to be telling this bunch of communities and Aboriginal aunties and mothers and all the people that have put that together. This community designed that program for themselves. They built it from the ground up to help themselves. And who the frick are we to tell them what they shouldn't be doing? You know, and it really irritates me that there are certain groups out there who are trying to put this is my white value and I'm going to impose it on black people all over again. I'm sorry, no. Yeah. No. That's how this all started. So I'm sorry to be over emotional. I've just spent 2 hours on Twitter having my integrity undermined in public by a bunch of people who don't even know what's happened to the legislation. So I'm angry, but I will compose. I'll have a cigarette in a minute. Let Catherine talk again. This bill does what it says it's going to do. Okay? It doesn't give the minister more powers than she already has under basics card legislation. It just separates those powers from CDC legislation and puts them back into basics card legislation, where the minister came out. Go look at Sky, go look at anywhere you want to read today. Go and listen to what she said today. All right, I've posted it. I clipped it and posted it below. This is a 2-step bill process. This bill has 2 steps. The next bill will likely have 4 or 5 steps involved, because income management's a tree with many branches. So it's never going to be a simple matter. That's why it needs to be separate from CDC, which is a simple matter. Okay, so ending CDC is about separating it from basics card, putting basics card back in the one box instead of this multiple box that Liberals put it in. Ending the CDC, helping people transition off that. Now, there are just over 3,000 Aboriginal people in the territory, and that's an assumption. I think it's 86% of that 3,000 people, okay, that are on the cashless debit card right now. And unless those people actually qualify under the strict criteria for income management, all right, then they're coming off the card, because this bill says they can. So anyone that's on the CDC who doesn't meet income management criteria in their region, in their needs, in the Northern Territory, can come off the card. But there's only about 3,000 there. The rest of the 30,000 people are on basics cards. So it's like they're already under compulsory income management. In order to get them off compulsory and onto voluntary income management, we have to deal with the CDC first, get it out of the way, support all the people that are on the CDC getting off it without sending communities and everyone into a riot, without dumping people who've never had real autonomous control to the wilderness with nothing. So support people off the CDC. And that's what's happening this month. And then in October, start the process, which should go to about February next year, but start the process of getting basics card IM tree, like the income management tree, to voluntary, or whittling that down to the point where the only compulsory income management is that court ordered, is that critical need, where it has to be compulsory. And that's always been a part of the Labor policies, to make IM voluntary. Okay, and their caveat has always been, except where the court orders it so, where it is a part of the legal justice system, which is another branch that's got nothing to do with the rest of anything. All right, but there's a lot of people out there making a lot of noise about shit they don't understand. And I'm going to call out Kirsten, and I'm calling out Hayden, and I'm calling out the Anti-Poverty Centre. You need to get your freaking acts together and stop with the misinformation. But I know you hate the ALP. I know you hate that. But if the Greens can jump on board with this bill, you can jump on board with this bill. Yep. This is a bill that will allow, for the first time in 15 years, Aboriginal people on income management basics to determine their own futures. Okay? We all helped them achieve this goal. Okay, this is what we wanted. And to having to stand there and defend myself from some fucking idiot who just doesn't know what he's talking about was really upset. And to be called by another person, they said, they kept, they kept accusing me of breaking my morality, of undermining my own morality. It's like, wow, I don't even know who they are, but that person needs to get a day job, It's really clear. ALP commitment has been end the CDC, make basics voluntary. To make basics voluntary, they have to end the CDC and extract basics cards from the CDC legislation. None of the powers that are in that bill are new. They already exist. The minister has them for CDC, and the minister already has them in basics cards legislation. In fact, there's a few new things in there that I will go down. I haven't had a chance to write anything today. I have been on Zooms fighting with people all day, okay? All right, I'm trying to be as clear as I possibly can. But if you want the CDC ended and you want basics card voluntary, this bill has to pass. It's that simple. Yep. And the nitpicking and the bullshit and the hyperventilating over the fact that the word income management appears in this legislation needs to stop, okay? Because everything that's in this bill, is already the minister's powers. She's just taking them out of CDC legislation and putting them back in the basics legislation. Is that clear to people? Is it clear to people what I'm trying to say there, all right? At the moment, basics cards and CDC legislation is joined. In order to end the CDC and make basics cards voluntary, okay, in the end of October, all right, the CDC legislation and the basics cards legislation has to be separated.
Yeah.
Okay, nothing can happen to either program unless that occurs. And I've got people all day standing there saying the ALP have gone back on their, no, they haven't gone back on their word. This is exactly what they said they would do. And it's messy. And look, I know it's messy. I really, really know it's messy. But if you do not understand legislation, if you do not understand what happened in 2020, stop talking, please. Stop talking, for our sake, for the people on card's sake, because you are confusing two different programs. You are confusing what happened in 2020, which most people still don't comprehend, the enormity of what happened in 2020. All right? So it's like, unless you understand what this means, shh, please, for my sanity's sake, because I am exhausted. I am 100% exhausted and tired of this bullshit. I can handle anything the right throws at me. The right wing are toothless and gutless. I've got them by the balls and the pussy, so to speak. You know, I'm sorry, that's rude. But it's when the left wing, when it's people who should know better, who do this kind of attack, it is gut-wrenching. But I was very pleased. Thank you, Janet Rice, for making the simple comment. We support the ending of this CDC. Thank you, Janet Rice. You know, we want all income management everywhere to end and there never to be a need for it ever, okay? But we're not talking about altruistic wish lists here. We're talking about what can be done, okay, with the current legislation, and this bill does that. It stops the two programs being joined so that CDC can end, so that in October, which Amanda said herself quite clearly today, the stage 2 of the reform process, it's called income management reform, can change the basics cards to a voluntary program. Without this bill passing, that can't happen. So anyone opposing this bill right now is basically forcing the two programs to stay together. You know, it's like condemning this program is condemning 70,000 people in the end to both programs for as long as it takes. So I'm very glad to see that Janet Rice gets it. Other people get it. Anyone who's informed about what this legislation is get it. And to a certain degree, I can understand this is a very complex set of legislation, and unless you've lived it like Catherine and I have, you have no idea of the nuances of it. But I have lived and breathed this legislation for 7 years non-stop, and I'm telling you the truth as I understand it. If I am wrong, I expect Justine, I expect the Legislative Office of the ALP to be calling me tomorrow saying, you're wrong, we're not doing that. All right, but I'm reading this bill and that's what I see. And I'm going to say it one last time for the soundbite, so clip it. CDC and basics cards were merged into one program called the CDC to transition to basics to CDC transition in 2020. In order to stop the CDC, you have to extract the CDC from basics cards, and in order to make basics cards voluntary, you have to extract it from CDC. This is why we warned in our submission to Senate that merging these two programs would be problematic. All right? But that's the soundbite. They merged it. ALP have to unmerge it to change it. And it can't be simpler than that. Please tell me that it can't be simpler than that. So basically, everyone that's on the program now, it's called re-entry back into basics card. They would ordinarily be people that were on income management because of geographics. The whole of the Northern Territory is an income management zone. So if these people were qualified already, those that can't get off in the position between closure and repealing stage, all right, those that can't just get off on the 7 days because there are indicators on their files that they've got to go back on income management, all right, they will go on basics. Okay, back onto basics, but they're like, we're talking a percentage of 3,000 people there. And that means that they will have to wait 2 more months, right, for the outcome, all right, of the bill to change the basics card legislation. And then 33 months from there, all right, for the royal bill to ascend. So they could be looking at up to 5 or 6 months on income management. But that's basics cards. That's not CDC. CDC is going. If this bill passes, CDC is gone. And people can start coming off in September, October, okay? And all it will be, you ring up the department, I want off, 7 days later, you're off. No documents, no crap, no nothing. And, you know, what they will check is, are you subject to income management in your region already? Like, is basics card there, and is your region under basics cards? Are you personally subject to income management, or have you? So all the ridiculous paperwork is going. This is called a no-doc release. You call up, 7 days later, you're off. So long as you don't meet that other criteria to make you go back onto income management, you're off the card. And that includes the 3,000 people in the Northern Territory if they don't meet other criteria. So if you were put on the card just because you live in the Northern Territory, you're off the card in October with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you've got flags, then you're going on to IM, but that will change too. And I'm hoping we can push there. Like, we haven't been focused on basics card legislation because we've been focused on the CDC. So I'm hoping that we can push, okay? I'm hoping that we can push to have an opt-in, opt-out process in place, that people who are mandatorily on IM will still have the capacity to challenge their IM status. See, you didn't have the capacity with CDC to challenge the fact that you were on the card, right? The CDC took that power away. Basics card legislation already has that power. If I put Catherine onto forced income management basics card, she has the power to challenge that. There is an appeals process. Whereas under the CDC, you don't have that. That's one of the differences between these two programs. But see, all of these rights, you know, I told somebody on Twitter the other day, a lawyer from the territory who was on basics card, who didn't know she had those rights. So people, the biggest problem with basics cards is that people weren't told what their rights were. The best part about our fight back for the CDC was everybody knew what our rights were, you know, and we knew what had been stripped away. Whereas people on basics cards were never informed of their legal rights. When we did those two comparisons, CDC basics cards, it wasn't to say, oh, basics card is good. It's to say, here's the technical differences. Basics card doesn't strip your legal rights and protections from you under law. You retain the capacity to, what's that one, not incriminate yourself. Okay,
statutory rights.
Statutory rights are not changed. You have access to a legal system, then you can challenge your IM status under current basics cards law. So if ALP can turn that into a big part of basics legislation and clear up that process, so that means anyone who even has to stay on extreme IM compulsory through the court could still challenge that status. For everyone else, it will be voluntary. You know, it's like, if you can prove, it says youth, it says vulnerable welfare, but if you can make your case now, and you're on any of those things in the bill, you know, it talks about youth, disengaged youth, vulnerable welfare, all of those branches of the IM tree, if you fit into one of those categories, you can challenge your right and the fact that you've been put on it right now. You don't even need to wait for a freaking bill. All right, but the fact is, a bill is coming that will make the majority of people currently on basics cards able to be on it voluntarily or leave the system. But ALP aren't going to do what NLP did. Strip it in, strip it off. Okay, none of the people on any of the cards today had a choice when it first came in. They were forced onto it, had to find their way, and they were left with no support to do that. You know, ALP could have done the same thing in reverse. All right, and I know a lot of us wanted them to just stop it, but the reality is that's, you know, you're not just talking about peeling Band-Aids here. You're asking people to grow legs where they've never had legs before. Okay, you have to understand that the average age of Aboriginal people on country, and then how long this program has been in place. You have to understand that these people have never had the right to independent self-determination for the last 20 years. And then we've had 200 years of shit before that. So you need to give time for people to catch up, yeah? It's like what works for Hinkler won't work in the bush, and what works in the bush won't work for Hinkler. And a lot of people need to slow the fuck down. All right, because it's not up to you and me. It's not, the legal stuff is up to the ALP, but the ALP have said under the Uluru Statement that it will be a self-determined process. That means you and me, white fellow, white sisters, we've done what we can now. We have done our job. We've put it out there. But we have to back off, and we have to let the Aboriginal communities stand up, amplify their voices, and stay the hell out of the rest of it. To be sitting there behind a nice freaking Heidelberg freaking, you know, desk saying, we demand this, is not the way to go about it. It's, you know, it's not the way to go about it. And I was offended, and I'm angry, and I'm hurt that the insults and bullshit I have copped this afternoon. And I'm not buying it, because I'm not here to be performative for the ALP. If the ALP were trying to shaft me and you and Aboriginal people, I would be the first person saying it. The first fucking person, because I've done with the shit as well. But I read that bill, my God, I read it from page to page. Not just the explanatory memorandum, the bill. And this bill will work. Now, it will work. It will do what it says it's going to do. It will separate those two bits, those two programs back. It will never fully do that because the mush eggs, the eggs are still eggs. But to the best of legal capacity, it separates the two programs, all right? So that CDC can end, so that in October, when the legislative instruments come up and it is possible to change basics cards, then it can change. But basics cards can't change now. They can't, no matter what Amanda does, she can't change the basics cards now because the ability to do that, the powers she needs to change it, aren't there. They don't come up until October 22nd. So people need to leave me alone, need to understand what this program is and how it's developed into what it is, okay? All right? I'm not trying to big note myself. I'm not trying to defend my morals and my integrity. You know, I don't have to do that. I've earned my position at this table. All right? And I've taken enough shit to earn my place at this table. I am telling you what I think. Okay, this bill means that by September, October, when they do the proclamation, boom, 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 you know, there's a whole lot of things that they're doing here that I understand. But it'd be very difficult to explain to someone who doesn't understand law and what a proclamation is and what all these things are. Basically, they've made this so even the Governor General can't fucking intervene. And I love that. Good. You know, because if the Governor General wanted to intervene in the other legislation, he could have continued it in perpetuity. In this bill, no matter what the Governor General says, and if the Governor General acts or he doesn't act, the CDC will still depart within 60 days of the royal assent, 6 months. So no matter what, this card is going, and ALP have been very tricky there, and it's been really good. This circumvents the powers of the Governor General to override the ALP's bill, and I really like that. And it's a really good protection. It means no matter what, the CDC is going. Okay, so that's what this bill is. Extensive. A lot of it is putting things back. Okay, that goes over there. It's a sorting hat. It's a sorting hat bill. Okay, and what it does, it takes all the, see, it wasn't just CDC and the Social Security Act that the CDC legislation impacted. It impacted Family Tax Act, the tax and ATO provisions. There's like 12 different other pieces of legislation, including social housing and a whole lot of other acts of parliament that this legislation impacted. So what the most of the bill is ALP going to pluck it out of there, going to pluck it out of there. So they're going around plucking the CDC out of all these legislations. I do see that they're returning inalienability back to its original form before 2014. So, but they're not protecting inalienability in this bill. So I will have something to say about that, because maybe not this bill or even the basics bill, but there needs to be legislation before ALP leave office that protects inalienability of payments, which inalienability means that it can't be given to a third party.
Yeah.
All right. So what happened was Scott Morrison circumvented protection of payment laws or inalienability laws to get this program rolled out. Otherwise, it would be illegal. Yeah. Okay. He got around the legislation and around our human rights and our social security rights by making it subject to express legislative exemption. So that has to go. Something has to happen in the Act that prevents any government from changing inalienability law, okay? All right, so that's what we need to look at for future bills. But for this one, I will do a write-up, but as you can see, I've been fighting all day. I've been fighting ignorance all day. And everyone says, oh, just block them. It's like, no, because it's important that the real message gets out. You know, this person's attacking me personally for my apparent moral failures because I've read the legislation and I know what I'm talking about. You know, they're only reading what's there. They're not actually seeing what's there in the context of the whole process, if you get what I mean, Catherine. And that
I know what you mean.
is you know, and somebody accused me of fighting against people that got I'm going, I don't even know what this person's talking about. Like, I don't know what they're even talking. They're having a conversation I don't want to be involved in anyway. But look, the statement from Anti-Poverty Centre was really wrong. Jay, Kirsten, you are wrong, and you need to stop being wrong, because people's lives depend upon you comprehending what is at stake and comprehending this legislation and what ALP are doing here. I can see
correct context.
if you would like an update about what's going on, we did try to inform you and the AWU about the legislation, but you didn't want to know. You didn't want to sit down, humble yourself to talk to us plebs and actually learn about the legislation. You know, you are a great orator, Kristen. You are a great person, and you should be at the forefront of this fight. But each time we've had to tell you you are wrong, it's starting to wear me down. For you to go and undermine a bill like that today was a bad thing to do. It doesn't it doesn't undermine me, or it doesn't undermine the ALP. It undermines you. And that's why it was wrong. And that's all I've got to say there. So can I have a cigarette now?
Yeah, you can have, absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, hang on. To Justine and to Amanda, thank you very much. I'm in awe you got this much writing done so fast. I am impressed by the depth and the attention to detail in this article, especially in relationship to people getting off the cashless debit card and the protection and care that you are showing to people coming off the cashless debit card, you know, because they have never been shown ministerial care. All right. They've never been shown care by this government, so it's very alien to them. And I hope that that can be repeated in the basics card legislation process as well. I wanted to say apologies to Tom Kearney for hanging up on him and for venting what was my frustration at the time, and to say thank you. I should have kept the faith, but I didn't. And I did lose it, and we have all lost faith at different times. Okay. I want to make a point. It's posted on the Say No 7 page. It's got linked to the bill. You can go and read it there, okay? But I just wanted to say thank you to the people that have actually done this work, because to do this in the second sitting of fucking Parliament, it was pretty amazing stuff, considering they only saw the contract 6 weeks ago and they've only just sat in. All right. They're not outsourcing this to lawyers. I can tell this is not outsourced to a legal team. This is actually legislative policy writing coming from Parliament, which is another big change, okay? Because the NLP sent all their stuff to lawyers outside. All right, and that was clear, because I had to learn. I had to get the fucking legal book every time I read the legislation. But this was clear and was understandable, and you could see the difference that this policy writing had lawyers involved, but you could see this was a policy office production, and it works. This will do what they've said they plan to do, with the maximum amount of care, which is something that people who have lost completely faith, who have become too cynical to actually have any comprehension, you know, don't seem to get. But, you know, I wouldn't, if I find a nugget tomorrow that's not okay with me, I'll tell you. There were a couple of things I had to clarify, and I rang Catherine and said, oh, I don't know that. But then I read 2 pages down. Now it makes sense. You know, so there was a lot, you know, I was working with Catherine today about going through the process. So I'm checking my understandings with other people as well. I've left a message for Malandiri going, are you okay with these provisions regarding basics cards? Because I want to hear feedback from Aboriginal ministers. I want to hear from Linda Thorpe. I want to hear from these people, so I can give my full-throated support to something like this. Because these are the Indigenous women that were elected to represent, you know, their constituencies, the Northern Territory and all of this stuff. So it's like, you know, I want to hear from these people. We all need to hear from them what they think about this bill, because ultimately at this point we've got 30,000 people, 23 to 28,000 on basics, 86% of whom are Aboriginal people, and they need to lead the way. You know, not the Kirstens and the Jays of the world. Okay, they need to lead the way. And this is ending the CDC and turning basics cards voluntary is a part of meeting the Uluru Statement from the Heart. These are 2 things, all right? So we do need to do our jobs, but we need to take a step back now that we know that CDC is ending. All right, it's got to get past Parliament first, so everyone take a step down there. We should have the numbers, but and you don't bring a bill to the House unless you have them. So I'm pretty sure ALP are assured of the numbers in the Senate, but we do have to put that there. But we do need to take that little step back now and allow groups that have been fighting against basics cards to step forward, and to make sure that we approach basics cards fight with utmost respect for what people have been through under Enter. Okay, and that we don't impose ourselves too greatly on a conversation that that we have no right to be a part of. Like I said last night's live, I said the biggest lesson and the biggest thing us white fellas need to know right now is the cost and consequences of the standards that we walked past when those tanks went in when those army went in, and when we sat here doing nothing. Okay, you missed it by this much, suffering the same fate. Australians, you missed it by this much. And only through, the gracious wisdom of Aboriginal women and people who kept the message alive of how that process happened, who taught people like me how that process happened so I could fight it under CDC. So it's another debt, okay? Another debt that we owe the message stickholders, okay? All right, so I'm just going to stop there and have my cigarette now. And let Catherine say something. If you have any questions, put them on now, okay?
I want to point out something too, because I saw a comment from D Starry saying that SN7 is anti-Labor. No, we're not anti-Labor, but we are. Amanda will hold Labor to account, right? We're not members of the Labor Party. I don't understand. Let me finish. Have your cigarette, girl. Right? But what I'm trying to say is the assumption that comes through from people like D Star is that we automatically have to be all pro-Labor and all yes, 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 and not call Labor out, right? We're not members of political parties. We've sat between Greens and Labor all the way through. You know what I mean? And we called Labor out in the past, and but we're not anti-Labor. But the trolls that are attacking Amanda on Twitter are anti-Labor, right? And this is causing too much stress, right? At the moment, I mean, this bill is fantastic. All right, we won, people, and we've opened the door so that the basics card can be knocked over as well. But unfortunately, you've still got the deal. You've got to just deal with the fact that there are people that will be on income management because they what do you call it? They're called.
Dee, it wasn't a threat, okay? It wasn't a threat. I've already spoken. I've been texting Justine. All right, she understands why we do what we do, even if you don't. Okay, ALP were considering leaving this till after the winter break. Okay, their staffers, and everyone was in a state of confusion about what would be happening, and we were getting no communication. They weren't in press talking about it, so we had to push the button, and we did push the button. So I did my job. My job isn't to make friends, and my job is not to have political allegiances. My job is to get the job done of ending this card and pushing Labor every step of the way. How do you think we started this fight? I came into this fight under Jenny Macklin, and she hated me. I rang up Jenny Macklin's office, and the words out of her mouth was, "Don't you know we're not in government?" Yeah. Okay, that's where I started this fight. All right, and I was incredulous with rage that she would say that. "Excuse me," I said to her back then, "opposition is a verb, not a noun, it's a verb." And that's where we started. And you know what? We have fought with ALP every step of the bloody way.
We have.
And we're supposed
We
to,
have.
because we're not supposed to fucking acquiesce to political parties. We're not here to promote them. But you know what? They have met every challenge I have thrown at them. And I wouldn't be here today saying those words out of my mouth if it wasn't true, because I'm not a liar and I'm not politically biased. Okay, they have done some shitty things in the past, but they have also made up for that 10 times over with their actions. They're the ones who, I'm the first person to say thank you to Nat Cook, to Penny Wong for standing up for Kelly May. You know, we were the ones emailing them in the background going, please, please. And they were the ones that were contacting us going, do this, do that. You know, we've had communication on and off, okay, with ALP the whole way through. But as I said to Justine today in a text, please forgive me for having not just to hold you to account, but be seen to hold you to account. You know, I also have to be seen to be holding them to account, or otherwise those truly anti-Labor assholes who have not stopped attacking me for 12 months now, okay, will continue and will gain power for my lack of integrity. If I cannot challenge my friends, then I certainly can't challenge my enemies. And ALP is neither friend nor enemy. I am grateful they are doing their damn jobs. That's what it boils down to. Our rights should not be provisional or conditional. The role of government is to uphold our rights, not to remove them. So I see this as ALP doing its job, meeting its commitment, and doing its job as government. No government should ever have the power to remove people's rights unless it is ordered by the court for specific reasons. You know, so, you know, well, I love people, not parties, and I love Rachel Seward. And I'm in awe of Indira McCarthy. There's an awe. It's like I want to go and say hi, but I don't want to, you know. You know, Lydia Thorpe terrifies the fuck out of me. You know, who else? Yeah, Justine, I wasn't sure of, because Justine was a former policeman and I don't trust policemen very often. So it was like, is she okay, or is she pulling? I didn't know if she was genuine. But it was only after a couple of weeks of working with her genuinity, her integrity was sort of revealed. It's like you saw the politician when you first met Justine, you didn't see the person. And slowly over the last few months, Justine's personality and person has come forward. So I can respect that there is a process of getting to know people. But you have to understand, I have raged against this party. I'm surprised they even talk to me at all. For the day, you know, I will call them out on everything. And the thing is that Justine turned around, she said, good. When I raged at her on Twitter in private message, I said, I'm going to hold you to freaking account. She goes, good. She didn't run away from that. She didn't lock the door, slam me off and leave the conversation. She said, good. That's integrity. You know, to me. You know, Keith Pitt wouldn't open his freaking door to card holders. Centrecare and all the people supposed to support card holders lock their doors to people.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, you know, services are all than willing to pile on more shame. You know, it's like, you know, we were locked out of the conversation with the NLP, all right? And I respect the integrity that the ALP have shown, but I don't have to be their friends. I'm not a rusted on ALP supporter. I believe in people being given enough access to enough material security and stability that they grow and mature to the point we don't need governments at all. So my politics is completely different, off the scale charts to what Australians call politics. But I will hold them to account, and I will yell and I will scream and I will say, forewarned, because I did. And I said, if you walk out on us now, forewarned, that we are going to make it a living hell for anyone who betrays people who are suffering in poverty. And if more people did that, if more people stood up and said, oi, you're on notice, the better this country would be. And I'm sorry, Dee, I know what you meant, because I could read my post a different way too, okay? So I know what you meant. I'm not attacking you there. I'm just stating that piece. But yeah, we owe it to Marcus Paul, who managed to wheedle Anthony into a disclosure, you know? So we owe so many people. I've already told the name of the bill is on, it's on my page, on the Say No 7 page, okay? It's a long-winded annotated amendment.
Hang on, I'll get it because it's a long one. I'll just go there. Hang on a minute.
But I've
Wait
also
a minute.
attacked the Greens just for the sake of, just so we're cool with that. I've attacked the Greens as well. Not attacked. I have hopefully encouraged better action from the Greens.
So,
good by now. I'm a bit worse than Penny.
So the post is, hang on. So it's Social Security Administration Amendment, repeal of the cashless debit card and other measures bill 2022.
And the other measures refers to all that separating, okay? Separating all the basics cards, getting the basics card ready to be fixed in October, or at least sorted in October. But let's be clear. And Ron said annihilate the CDC, make basics cards voluntary. They've never committed to ending IM, because IM in some instances, as we know, is essential. Some people want it, and they do, as much as we don't want
to. And Ron couldn't fit the bill title in the YouTube headline.
It's actually on the 7 page. It's actually on the NCDC page down below as well. I've linked it with the video of today's press, the day's Parliament tabling. You'll see the word tabled. It's in there. You just link it.
Yeah.
Which is why I couldn't say it, Greg.
The bill's there. So
basically, it's the repealing. If you want to shorten it, just say the repeal the CDC bill.
Yeah.
And repeal the CDC and prep the basics bill. That would be but it's a very long-winded bill. But look, the writing is also long-winded, and it has to be because it is explicit with every single bit of the legislation that's being changed. Okay? Because the NLP made this insidious across multiple pieces of legislation, not just CDC. So every time it's repeated, everyone in the 4 original trial sites, okay, Ceduna, Kalgoorlie, Kununurra, Hinkler, is coming off the card. That's a given, okay? It's a given. Yeah. Done. Northern Territory will come under the basics card because the whole Northern Territory is an IM region, okay? And FRC have requested that caveat in the Act to go back to basics cards, which they were on before the NLP forced them onto the CDC. Okay, now that's their right, that's their choice. That is a community-run program, as I said, based on informed consent and mutual agreement between the person going on income management and the person controlling the income management. That is controlled locally, overseen by committee in Parliament. Okay, that program was the only one to show any success at all. Okay, but right before the CDC legislation came out in 2019, they were actually talking in the communities about ending income management altogether. So now they can get back to that process, or to develop their process into something more streamlined that can be rolled out to communities that need that critical tool. And there's some communities that want it. It was really good to see that when the drinking bans went off in the Northern Territory, 7 communities immediately stepped up and said, no, we don't want that. We're going to say thank you very much. And the provision in the Act was there that allowed them to do that. It didn't mean they had to. It meant if they chose to, they could do it. And 7 communities immediately said, no, we're staying dry, thanks, we like it. So that's fantastic, okay? Aboriginal communities are self-determining and capable of self-determination, all right? And they have to be given that chance to determine their future with basics cards and income management. And nosy white people from organisations that don't understand legislation should just go, shh.
Yeah.
Because that's not our fight. It is, but it isn't. It's a fight that has to be led by Aboriginal people themselves, and
we are happy to be their allies and stand beside them.
That want to come off income.
We don't have the right to speak for them. We don't have consent, but we will stand with them in solidarity, all right, and we will support them in their decisions.
Yeah.
Because as much, and I told this, I did 3 radio interviews today, and one of them asked me about how I felt about people wanting to stay on the cashless step or not on the basics card. And I said to them, straight up. As much as we fought to protect people's rights and statutory rights, legal protections, human rights, right? You know, to stop from being forced onto cashless debit cards. On the flip side of the coin, we have to stand beside those that choose voluntarily to go on a program that doesn't take away their human rights or their legal protections, right? And you know, and recognise that they have the autonomy, the self-determination, and the ability to make their own goddamn decisions and consent. So they've got the choice. We don't have the right to stand up and go, no income management, and take that choice away from people that may want to use a voluntary program. Simple as that.
And see,
Now, can I let me finish, Amanda, right? I learned from an Aboriginal elder in Canberra who walked up to me and said, I like my basics card. And I said, so what do you like about it? She volunteered for it originally. She was in an abusive relationship. It enabled her to get financially stable, get away from that relationship, rebuild her life. At the time, the program would release $1,500 back to her because at that time, India couldn't hold any more, right? She would get that money, buy new furniture and stuff like that. She rebuilt her whole life. She loved her basics card because it gave her structure, stability, and it got her away from the domestic violence abuse that she was stuck in, right? I still didn't understand that. That was in 2017 I met that lady. It took me till 2020 to understand what she was telling me.
And that woman too, those rules changed under CDC. People no longer had the choice. It wasn't voluntary.
That's right.
The punitive nature, what basics cards become under the CDC and under NLP, completely different to what that woman's experience was of basics cards. They removed it from voluntary. They made it mandatory in 2006. They have stripped the rights and autonomy. And the last thing we want to be doing is stripping more people's rights and autonomy, even if you have to be prepared to stand up for things you don't like as well. We talked a bit about that last night in the live. All right, you sometimes have to accept that the other has a right to make mistakes as you see it, or to make their own choices and fail or succeed. You know, we're not here to be judge and jury over people's lives. And certainly after 200 and blah years of top-down paternalism, isn't it about time Aboriginal communities made their own choices, free of our interference and moral impositions? For goodness sake.
Do you know when the penny really dropped for me? When I saw the protest from Milingimbi and the Yongulu people, and I saw the protest and I didn't understand a word because it was in their own language, but they held up signs, no CDC, no cashless debit card. And the full video that I saw, they spoke to the elders, and some of the elders says, I don't want basics card anymore. And other elders said, I want to stay the same. No change. We keep the basics card. And that's when that lady's story came together. Then that's when, listening all the time to Linda Burney saying, we do not support compulsory income management, right? We want to give people informed consent, right? When you lock it all together, you fully understand that these people, you've got to understand, there is a generation of people that have never known financial autonomy. They've only ever been on a basics card all of their lives. Now, those people, if they want to come off, are going to need help and support to understand how to manage their full income.
And what people are demanding today on Twitter is that they get dumped.
So many people are asking that. And you've got the same in Cape York as well, though. They've been on it 10 years, right? The same sort of thing. And there's nothing, the Liberals did not put any policy or infrastructure in place for transitioning those people off of cards and giving them supports needed, right, so that they don't come down crashing and burning. And this is what Labor's doing. They have listened. They've listened to the people who want to keep basics card. They've listened to the people who don't want to keep it. They've listened to the people who want to get rid of the cashless debit card, and they've sat down and listened. And that is the most important thing. And that's when I learned, but it took me till 2020 and 2021, seeing the, you know, the Yongulu people of Milingimbi and meeting elders around the country and listening right? And one of the biggest things on their signs is listen to us. Listen to us.
Signs they were holding up, listen to us. And it's like, that was catching that was a fluke that I actually caught that video, and it was from another group that was actually in the area and videotaping that protest. And it was just like, when he saw that we'd posted it, he was all excited. And I remember that it was like, this is exactly what we want to hear. We want to hear from remoter communities, all right? And we want to know what they want so we can amplify their voices, not speak for them, not tell them what's right and wrong according to our view of what's right and wrong. That's what we did, just like we did for the card holders. When the overwhelming 99.99% of people coming to us on cashless debit card were saying it's bad, it's wrong, it's hurting me, it's, you know, it's killed my son, it's, you know, all their impacts. Our job was to do their voice first. Our position as a group came from their voices and amplifying their voices. This isn't some personal vendetta or mission or crusade that I'm on. I believe in amplification of people's voices because they're not being heard. They weren't being heard. And the first thing Sue Lyons said during the 2018 bill, 19 bill fight was, say no 7, NCDCA, we heard you.
Yeah.
And I'm still rattling at that because it means not listen to us, she heard us. And that in social justice, being heard is something different to being listened to. When you're heard, the difference, you are comprehended. Okay.
So when I look back,
comprehended it, and that's made the difference.
When I look back to 2015, when I was getting on the phone to Jenny Macklin's office and her staffers were saying, but you're on welfare. And I said, you should be on the NMP seat because you're speaking like a Liberal, right? Then moving forward and meeting Bill Shorten and giving them the India terms and conditions and seeing Labor pull their support for the card and start listening. Do you know what I mean? And then we move forward to the meeting I had. Well, I had a meeting with Linda Burney in 2020. You know what I mean? I went there, she listened to card holders, she listened to Aboriginal lady that we managed to get there from Kalgoorlie, right? She listened, okay? But then moving forward to this month, the meeting in Bundaberg with Justine Elliott, right? With the Chief of Staff, Commander Rishworth's office, and a staffer and the department. A guy from Services Australia
in that meeting,
right? And I was in that meeting, and Karen was with me in that meeting. We were listened to, we were heard, and in that bill, what we discussed is in that bill. We were pushing.
I've seen it.
Putting people on the card. It's in the bill, right? Get people on the card. Right?
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Hang on. Get people off the card, right, without having to go through an opt-out process. It's in the bill. They heard us. They listened to us. They listened to Karen, right? They've listened to the card holders that I have forwarded to their office, right? One of their staff members has been really good, right? He's been really fantastic with card holders that I've advocated for and sent through, right? They have listened. And it's in the bill, and it's we can't ask for any more than that.
Everything that we've actually asked for is in the bill. Yeah,
it's a long way to come in 7 years to come from being totally stonewalled outside, right, by a political party, right, and along that line, we were also working with Rachel Seawood for 5 years, who listened and heard all the time because she was bloody fantastic.
Rachel was
I did not even consider Rachel as a politician. She was such a beautiful human, right? Very tiny little lady. If you gave her a hug, you didn't want to squash her. You know what I mean? She was so tiny. And I had the privilege to be able to meet her like 4 times, you know, and to go to her office But I mean, first thing I said to Labor and Greens, State Labor and Greens here in Hervey Bay, when we started the very first load of meetings and stuff, I said to Labor and Greens, this is not about your politics. So we're not going to be knick-knack against each other. This is about our community. And we're going to stand here, the three of us, and we're going to stand up, fight this card together as a community. Right? So we started off, I did meetings with the Labor Party, public meetings. Then I did meetings with Rachel, right? But on one of the meetings that Rachel did in Harvey Bay, Adrian Tantari was in that audience wearing his Labor shirt. And he stood up in front of all of the people with Rachel, beside Rachel, to speak to the people. There was me, Rachel, and Adrian standing in that building in front of 80 people, united to fight the card. Right? Adrian Tantari is now the Labor state member for Harvey Bay. Right? 100% against the card. He always has been, and Labor supported us there. Greens supported us along the way, but they didn't have volunteers in our region to help. So Labor volunteers stepped up. Do you know what I mean?
You're breaking
we
up
did
a little bit.
Yeah, so are you.
I just want to say in the actual bill itself, what Catherine, there is a provision there. Remember, I wrote where we are now. Okay, a few weeks ago, and I posted it to the pages. Yeah. I said, this is where we stand. These are the three options. Okay, I said, these are the three options that ALP has and where they're going to go. And I told you that I would tell you which direction I thought. In fact, what they've done is all those three options are now in one bill, all of them. So basically they are stopping. There will be a point called closure day where the card will stop. No more people will be added, which is the one demand that we had, okay? Our demand number one is no more people on the card. Demand number two was a no document opt-out process. And they put that in. We've got that. So we've got closure day in the bill is the day where the program closes, no more people can be added to the program at all. That's done.
That's right.
Number two is the next one I just mentioned, and there was a third one, and I've completely lost it now. And the basics card separation. Okay, the necessity to separate basics cards and cashless debit card, because if we were to if the two stay the same, they can't be, no changes can happen to either program. Well, so, but the fact that the closure day means that it will close. There will be a day that the program will close, no more else, and then no document opt-out. They are the two demands out of the 3 or 4 that we had. And I think the other couple of demands are also in there as well. But it was like we demanded that there be a definite point where there'll be nobody else added, and that's coming in this bill. That's why it has to pass. Well, you know,
we spoke about the supports for people coming off the card, and it won't be mandatory that people have to accept those supports, right? The majority of people probably won't want those supports or need them, but they're going to be there if they need it. And that was something that we discussed.
Is there another mod on the page that can get rid of Farul's post, please?
It's me, but I'm not sure how to do it.
I can't do it while I'm on the phone. Somebody's posting.
Hang on, I can do it. Hang on, let me
on to the page, trying to get us.
I'm going to the page now. Hang on, and I'll find him.
Yeah, that'll get us banned. But yeah, look, the fact that all the supports will be optional. People will not be forced to undertake financial counselling and all of that, and that there will be a no document out. You know, so you basically ring up, 7 days later you're off. And I think there can't be a simpler way. There really can't be a simpler way. It does take around 4 to 5 working days to get the stuff moving. So everyone, when we give you the day, call now. Okay, that will be the signal to go and call up Services Australia and do it. And that won't be immediately after the bill. Okay, won't be immediately after the bill. Thank you.
I got rid of that, James. I got rid of that link. It was a troll, and I got rid of it. It's gone.
It was
it's banned and deleted. And Somebody
All
was
right. So
trying to
look,
get our page
I will
recorded.
write up the key points. Okay. I'll write up the key points, and then I will do a separate post for income management, what it means. I
Yeah.
will do the CDC first and get that out there, and then I will do a separate one. But I couldn't do it today because I was busy fighting trolls and people that were ignorant. And I've been doing that right up to the last minutes when literally I went to the loo and came here and talked to Catherine. That was it. Like I haven't had a chance or a break all day. There are people who seem intent on cynically misrepresenting the facts, and that's not my fault, not my problem. There's nothing we can do about it. And I have actually blocked about 5 people this evening, and then came here to make my comment, you know, that these people need to stop because they're creating confusion because they don't understand what's happening. And I'd be the first person. I want my doctorate. I want my doctorate. But yeah, I think I don't know. I haven't eaten yet. I haven't done anything yet. I've been literally on this all day. But look,
I
Amanda
stuffed down
herself,
my plate.
quite clearly, okay, this is first bill of a 2 bill minimum process. We want a third bill, and we want a third income management bill that protects people who do have to stay on it for whatever reason. We want new legislation for whatever income management process. And we have a whole list of things we want to see in that legislation. Okay, it won't get, you know, what ALP are doing, we'll find out in October. But then if that's not sufficient, we want to add more because there are more protections. And then we want to add a legislative protection for this ever happening again. So that's another bill all entirely. That's got to do with the National Security Act. You know, it's got to do with other acts other than the Social Security Act. So because, you know, if people understood what this program was about to do, okay, to the national security of this country, if they realised that Social Security is one of the biggest portfolios in the Australian government, biggest money portfolios, and the NLP were getting ready to give that away to people overseas. Okay, all 240 billion of the inclusive portfolio. Okay, that would have all been money going playing the world money market. All right, and it's like that would have given those people, banks, cartels, and all of that, control over the Australian government. It would have been the equivalent. I was talking to someone yesterday of the Woodrow Wilson decision in the United States that sold their money to the Federal Reserve. That's how close it was. That's the cliff that we were looking at. Because once you control the country's social security system, you control all the people in the country.
That's
and
right.
Because 65% of Australians receive the payments through Centrelink, family tax benefit, you know, 65% of Australians would have been under the control of corporate enterprise, and most of it overseas, because Inju offshores its money and its income. All right, Inju is not a nice company. Inju has a lot of Australian shareholders, but they also have nominated hidden shareholders. And we know a couple of those shareholders, but it's like we know that this would be money and control over our government. Every country that has given control over its social security to private sector has failed, including, Mr. Forrest, South Africa. Okay, yes. The whole forest review, because I'm doing a review on the forest review at the moment, the whole forest review bases all its logic on the South African experiment of exactly cashless debit card in South Africa, which is failing, because what happened was they gave all the Social Security money to one company, and then that company got so big it now controls the government, and so now the government can't stop what's happening to Social Security. And that's exactly what was happening here. And that's exactly, and I don't like Mr. Forrest, but he had to know this before he wrote that report. He had to know what was going on. Okay, so I'm not that smart that he wouldn't have known that too. So he was giving control over our government to foreign corporate interests, you know. Oh. And if people really understood this is what I would love to sit down and do an expose on what this really meant, because you'd be grabbing for whatever change we could make to get power back into our government's hands right now, because what was going to happen was terrifying. And, you know, for all of us, but also for the economic stability of Australia. So, you know, we really did dodge a bullet. Yeah. Yeah, it's in bits and pieces, Pamela, because I got sick and then I got started on other things, and I'm supposed to be taking August off. Can you believe? I'm supposed to actually be going away this August and having a rest because mental health and stuff. And I can't even do that until this is done. No, Serco's the least of our worries, Pamela. Serco was the least of our worries. They're a known entity. We know who they are. It was other corporations that were getting their hand in the pie, including Bank of China. So when I get all
Yes.
this out, it'll all come out in the wash, let's say. But look, mainly the bill meets our 4 demands, okay? It meets our 4 demands that we had, and it ends the CDC by September, October. So everybody can get ready for a freaking free Christmas. How good is that?
Yes.
People can have their first Christmas free of the card in 6 years, 7 years. So it's like, yeah, Serco is go and Google Serco, the biggest little company you've never heard of. It's quite interesting how many fingers they've got. With Mindaroo are trying to emulate their business model here. And there's another company, what was it called? Santos tried and failed to do it, but there's still a thing here. There's another company here, Wellways. For mental health, they're trying to do it in the mental health sector. They're trying to be little Sercos, and it's because governments rely upon single industry peaks or heads, and it's a problem with government decision making. Because Wellways are doing it. There's a whole lot of these monopoly companies, not monopoly in money or market, but they just take up all the contracts that are available, suck it all up, and become the peak. And it's so there's a lot of that going around. There's a big, huge mess that the ALP have to face. But, will there be an investigation into the CDC program? I don't know. That is up to ALP, and I think we could legitimately push for that as part of a...
Yeah, I
think having Robodebt and all of these ones as a separate Royal Commission is a bit of a time waster. I think that we should have a Social Security Royal Commission.
Yeah.
And have a couple of months on Robodebt, a couple of months on CDC, a couple of months on Job Active, a couple of months on all the other, Parents Next and job agencies, and actually bring it all out into the open. So people say they're a waste of time. It's like, no, it gets it on record for future generations. If nothing else, that's what it does. It puts it in law. Class action, I'm not sure, Ron. I'm going to contact the Centre for Legal Studies, and I will contact the Australia Institute, and I will contact Welfare Rights in the next coming weeks, and I will find out what the opportunities are. I think for the short term, people just want their lives back. All right.
Yeah.
For the moment, they just want their lives back. So there's going to be a pause where people just draw breath. And we've noticed that happens among cardholders that get exited. They just need that time. Robodebt is the debt collection, where the government... Oh, somebody explain. You can explain Robodebt, Catherine.
Oh, the government created all these debts and gave people debts when they didn't have debts. And because they hadn't put it through the process of going through the parliament, making it law, it actually was illegal. Right, and they knew it was illegal. They were told it was illegal, but they continued with it anyway. 2,500 people approximately ended their lives over it, and it ended up in a Royal Commission, or there's a Royal Commission coming, but it ended up with the court case, which now, a current affair tonight, I need to watch it. People's jumping up and down to get their money because
my son got $2,500, Pamela. He had to pay back.
The government opted to settle out of court.
And they never claimed criminal responsibility, which is why we need a Royal Commission for Robodebt, because it needs to be discovered. Discovery has to be made. Okay? Who knew what when? Who knew what when?
When you consider that in the Netherlands, 27,000 people were issued with illegal, incorrect debts under a similar program, and the whole government had to step down because of it.
Yeah,
right?
I was
Whereas
dying.
what did Morrison and co do? They just carried on and ignored the people that have suffered, ignored the damage that was done, ignored the gravestones that are out there, and just marched on like they've done with the cashless debit card
And this is,
and all the harm that's done to people.
can I
So
say what
Robo
I was
is
going
really
to
bad.
write? Can I say what I said to you this morning? Is that all right?
What?
About life
Yeah.
loss? Yeah. Okay. One thing is I want to say before I'm going to get going to have some dinner is that this isn't about spending choices. Okay. Well, that
No.
was the biggest stress. Okay. That was the biggest stress felt and experienced on a daily basis by most people. This isn't about that. This was about the first man who died in Ceduna in 2016, less than 2 weeks after rollout, who got forced on a card. So he said, well, fuck it. He went and stole a bottle of something from a bottle shop and ran into the river and never came out. He died. That's a death related to this card. From that man to my friend who died and took her life, to the 16 people and very young humans that died in the East Kimberley, to the 8 families that died, they have children die and older people die in Hervey Bay. The oldest was 30, the youngest was 12. It is the deaths and homelessness in Kununurra. It is about a government taking power for people, okay? And for no reason, okay, for no reason other than an ideological assumption that poverty is bad and that they were responsible. This is about people's lives, okay? This has never just been about spending and money and choices. If it was just about money, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have done all this. Okay, people have died as a result of this program. And while the government and everybody else want to put that into a corner and speak politely around that, that's why I'm here. You know, I'm here because my son uttered those words no parent wants to hear. If I get put on this card, I'm checking out. That's after 5 years of fighting cancer and putting up with the punitive system. He turned around and said, if they put me on this card, I'm going, I'm leaving. Okay, for every mother who's lost a child, every mother on country especially who has lost a loved one, to a Pula man and he's lost his niece. You know, people have lost loved ones because of this program. Okay, that's what this is about. Because when you take hope away from people, that's, you know, there's nothing left. You know, there's no country for most of us to walk on. You know, we are on stolen land. So when they strip everything around us and they leave us, we sit here and we stare ourselves into despair. That's what happens. And this whole punitive system of punishing people for poverty that isn't our fault. You know, poverty is a result of government decision making. It is a choice of politicians to continue the state of poverty in this country. But there's a bigger poverty that's inside people. It's inside the Australian people who allowed these things to happen in the first place. In that, we are rich people because we care. The first thing we had to do was convince people to care about it. And people go, why should we care? It's like, because you should care as a human being that other people are being made miserable, are being made paupers, are being made homeless, are being made jobless, you know, are being killed because of government policy. People were dying so frequently during the 2019 bill, I nearly joined them. I was over it. I had a list of 40 people who were at critical risk or at one time. And it's like, well, where is the support, all these support people who are supposed to be helping them? They disappeared. All the services and the agencies, they were nowhere to be found. We have to care about each other. We have to, because nobody else is going to, you know, and for their lives, you know, this has been about making those deaths matter, the lives matter, you know, because I don't want to be a statistic, and I don't want Catherine's daughter to be a statistic, and I don't want my son to be a statistic. And it's like, we can't let them forget that people died as a result of this program. We can't let them forget how many people are now homeless in Bundaberg, how 2/3 of people on the cashless debit card in Kununurra are homeless. What this program really did, because it's not about spending choices. That's some of it, one tiny part of it, you know. And then you've got
the human impact.
It's the human impact of the cards that nobody wants to talk about, the press doesn't want to write about. Usually in every other thing, if it bleeds, right, it leads in the press, not when it comes to poor people. Okay? So many people have lost their lives, have overdosed, have ended up in the mental health system, have had their lives and their dignity and their concept of themselves, the world, and their trust of life completely ruined and eroded. All right? And that's what it's about. If we can prevent that from happening, we should. You know, more and more we expect less and less of each other. And it's time we started expecting a little bit more from ourselves, from each other, and from our politicians and leaders. And I think Anthony gets that.
Yeah.
That's what I heard in his voice during the Welcome to Caucus. I heard that he got that. It doesn't make him a weak man. It makes him a strong man, that he can get emotional. It makes him an informed man, that he can feel somebody else's pain and acknowledge, even if he's not having the same experience, he can acknowledge a wrong when it's a wrong. You know, and in that, ALP have surpassed NLP from here to the moon already. I will continue to yell, rage, scream at the ALP if they don't get off their ass and change things. I'm going to join other campaigns like raise the rate and things because we should.
Yes.
You know, but I'm going to do those on my terms, and I'm certainly not going to lead them anymore. After 7 years, I'm tired, and I've written so much, and I've got, you know, I need a rest before I can be effective.
And I want to empower people, and I said this on a TikTok live the other night. People have got to learn to start standing up themselves. I can only do so much, right? I've done enough for 7 years, right? But now, if people want change, they're going to have to be prepared to go out and stand outside those Centrelink offices, stand outside those ALP ministers' offices, right? And demand change.
If
right?
you want
And
your
it can be
human
done.
rights, you've got to step up and grab them.
You've got to do it. You've got to get out there and take it. I mean, not take it, steal it, and no violence and stuff like that. But look what we've done in the last 7 years as people, right? Imagine what changes can be made. And I mean, to me, changes around the vilification of people on social security or based on their income source has to be done, right? We have to find a way to get Labor to recognise that, to put in a legislation into the anti-discrimination bill so that everybody's protected. Because as it stands at the moment, as a woman, I'm protected under the Anti-Discrimination Act. As a person with disabilities, I'm protected. But if you harass me, bully me, vilify me because I'm on a disability support pension, the Act has nothing legislated in it to protect me, right? And we need to change that. We need to raise the rent. We need housing, right? We need the basics reinstated, a livable income, and poverty. Yes, poverty needs to be addressed properly for what it is, all right? And the construct that a government makes a political choice to keep people in poverty, right? We need to change that ideology. That is neoliberalism, and some members of the ALP are still clinging on to that. We need to get rid of it. And I'm not a raging socialist. I'm a humanist, right? Everybody needs enough.
James says that Pauline stormed out of the Senate today. Yes, we got the video. We've been passing it around, sort of. I can't think of anything more utterly disrespectful than to do that. And I would just like to note, for the sake of noting things, because I note things a lot, that every Muslim member of the parliament today sat there and listened to the Lord's Prayer. And they will have to sit there and listen to the Lord's Prayer every single day they are in parliament and sitting as a member. Today, every Muslim representative inside the parliament, every atheist inside the parliament had to bear the Lord's Prayer with quiet respect for convention that can ultimately be changed through force of will and enough votes, but hasn't changed yet. All right, so these new members, Muslim, atheist, Buddhist. Okay, I don't know if we've got any Hindu members, but we should have. We should have a Hindu member. We need a new Hindu member. Come on, please. All right. You know, someone bail out Jonathan Shree and get him up there as well. You know, it's we
But the
need
thing
diversity of opinion. But all of these people sat there today, despite their deeply
dignity.
held beliefs, and accepted
Yes.
that. All right. And
Yes,
the only person that couldn't cop a welcome to country was a racist, anti-Muslim bigot that somebody somewhere stupidly voted for. All right. She's got to go. If she can't represent all of the constituents in her town, and I'm sure there's Aboriginal and Asian and Muslim and Sikh and Hindu, all the other kind in her constituency, if she can't represent her entire constituency, she shouldn't be sitting in the Senate. Unfortunately,
No.
the rules don't allow her to be sacked. She has to be sacked by her people, like people in her electorate, and she almost was. You know, but I have to say, on that note, it is better to have a known stupid bigot like that in Parliament than the sly Christian soldier of Amanda Stoker. Okay, I really,
absolutely,
especially with the anti-abortion arguments coming up soon, I really you know, compare the pair. I'd rather the known person than this unknown that nobody's voted for anyway. But it's what she did today was a complete and utter disrespect. And, you know, it's something that a lot of people are making fun about. But when you've got to really deeply consider what she did today, she laid out her platform for the next 3 years today.
Yeah. Or the next 6 for her.
It depends on when she's actually it is 6, isn't
She
it?
just got it is 6 for her. But
It
you
is.
see, the thing is, those other people in the chamber today had the decorum and the respect and the dignity, right, to stand there and not disrespect the Senate, okay, and not cause a scene. Pauline, she can't help herself. She disrespects our Senate, right, our Parliament, and she disrespects the original peoples of this land, right, and everybody else who is not a neo-Christo-fascist, right, which is what she is, right?
By the way, the
Simple as
neo-Christo-fascists only have 21 seats now. Sorry.
But the thing is, all she did, in my opinion, was just, it was a stunt because she hasn't been relevant in the media and she needed to find a way to get back into the media, right? And I mean, I've seen some horrific comments on TikTok about this. Somebody said she forgot her white hat today. You know what I mean?
She did. But look, this was a stunt, but it was also Pauline laying down her agenda and how she wants to play things for the next period of her term. And it's like only the Senate, you know, ignoring this behaviour and censuring this behaviour if it continues. You know, I think that ultimately a credo should place, or a statement of belief or a statement of credence should replace the Lord's Prayer as well. And it's not because I am anti-Christian. It is because it is no longer representative of Australia, especially after you know.
I like what Anthony Albanese did. He didn't get sworn in on the Bible, and when he was asked about it, he said because he believes in separation of church and state.
Mm-hmm.
Good on him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But
And,
we know that Anthony's
you know,
Catholic. We know that he has, you know, that there are a lot of highly religious people who are operating in the Parliament right now. But it's funny, the person who claims no religion, which is Pauline Hanson, you know, aligns herself loosely with religion, is the most abusive of the lot. It's the other way around in the United States and the Tory party at the moment. So it's kind of interesting, but it was a really horrible thing to do. And I you know, this white chick apologises for that occurring, you know, to the people that were offended by that today. I was offended by that today. And it was, pretty shocking that she did that. But all kudos to everyone who had to sit there and listen to the Lord's Prayer, because I couldn't do that. I could not be in that environment every day and have that read out to me. I would throw my shoe. I would throw my shoes. I've got lots of shoes.
I could sit there and willfully ignore it. I would throw my shoe at Pauline Hanson for what she did, because that was reprehensible. There is no excuse for what she did today.
Yeah.
There's
Listen,
no excuse.
I actually
I'm
have to
sorry.
go have dinner.
I mean, we're going back in time here. We're going back to 1996, where now the Aboriginals are the problem again. Here we go. And it's going to sell it very interesting. It's going to be very feisty. I mean, think of it this way. You've got Pauline Hanson, and you've got Jacinta Price, and then you've got Millendari McCarthy, and you've got Lydia Thorpe. This is going to be one hell of a bloody roller coaster ride.
I can actually see one of the things, Auntie Belinda from TikTok, she and Belinda J, and Miriam, Itty Bitty Baby from TikTok, some two wonderful elders and beautiful women who have been, I'm learning by proxy from watching all their videos about decolonisation of mind and spirit, which I'd pretty much done on my own already, but it's like they're actually giving me some of the tools and framework. You know, when these people in the United States started saying, if you're white passing, you can't be Aboriginal, and blew up. Like, all the Australians, it's like, she did not just say that to all the Aboriginal women in Australia. It's like Maori women. You do not.
No, that was Lance. That was Lance. That was Modern Warrior.
It was Modern Warrior, and it was somebody popular, but it was like these. They didn't come in with the rage and the hate. They came in with this elegance of dignity, and they posed and it was beautiful. Oh my God. And I remember I've seen that. I saw that in the 2018 bill debate, 17, when this beautiful woman from on country, she was down there speaking after us, and her whole energy glowed. You know, those women, those people that when you go near them, it's like they have an aura around them of spirituality and beauty and elegance. And she held her head high. She was such a beautiful woman. And I had the privilege of standing in her wake and saying hello. And she nodded and smiled. And it was like, she could have at me for my whiteness. She could have at me for a million things of 200 years of abuse of her own people. But she didn't. She took my hand and she shook it. And she goes, thank you for being here. You know, it's like fucking, the fact that Aboriginal people aren't riding on the streets every day is still beyond me. The fact that most women in this country aren't still riding every day is beyond me. But this elegance, this spiritual dignity that this woman, and I've seen the titters, they have this capacity to engage with hate without becoming part of hate's agenda. And I think that will come from Malarndirri, and it will come from Makwa, and it will come from a few other people that are in the parliament now. And I think, if they need a hammer, they'll throw Lydia Thorpe through the
they'll throw the word at
and Sue Lyons and all these women who have borne the struggle and the suffering for so long will, Sue Lyons isn't Aboriginal, but that I'm aware of, but Sue Lyons has had a great deal of contact with women on country. So it's like, and Aboriginal women in general. So I think that there's a lot of power and wisdom in Labor that will meet that level of hate with dignity and justice, and will melt it rather than attack it, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
Rather than try to fight hate on hate's terms, they will meet hate with dignity, and the hate will dissolve. It's like there's an old Christian saying that evil has within it the roots of its own demise. And you've watched that happen with the Liberal Party, haven't you? Exactly what happened. The Liberal Party dissolved from the inside out. So I believe there's some good old sayings passed down through all religions, and that's one of the ones I remember whenever we're talking to hate. And I just remembered that woman from 2017 and her elegant dignity. It's hard to explain. It's like goddess dignity, and I'm sure, I'm not calling fucking Malarndirri a goddess, but I think that energy of wisdom and authority is present on the government benches. So Pauline's going to have a really rough time trying to get her hate agenda out. So but look, I'm actually going to go and have my dinner now. So I will be writing two things. Okay, I'll be writing tomorrow. I will write about CDC, and if I can, the income management, though it's a lot more complex because I have to explain lots of reasons why these things are in the Act. But I will get the CDC things done. The most important thing to know is the 4 points we demanded are in the bill, and the CDC will end in September, October. We'll sing out when it's time to call Services Australia, and we'll need you to carry that message everywhere. We'll need the Aboriginal Grapevine to do some work for us as well. Auntie Bev, Auntie Sue, you need to take the information and run with that and get it out to communities that aren't on the internet. And we need Labor to send people letters, physical letters, not just to MyGov, because a lot of people don't have access or can't access MyGov. So we need physical letters going out to every single card holder to tell them that they can get off and when. So, and I know that they will respond to that because that's a practical solution to the information problem. So, you know, it's good. The bill is good. Okay. It's not what other people are saying it is. I'm telling you it's good. It's part one of a two-part process that won't be understood until the second process is done. And until then, there's going to be lots of haters and detractors. Ignore them, please. Get the facts. I will post the facts, and then we'll go from there. If I discover something untoward that I think ALP are trying to pull the wind over everybody, I will certainly say so. Okay, and I have no allegiances that compel me to not say so. And so that's me done for the night. Thank you again for sharing your platform, and I will I will talk to you as soon as I can. I'll get started on the writing tomorrow, though. For now, I just need to have a sleep. Okay.
Fair enough.
Thanks for the chance to put it all here. Okay.
That's okay.
Bye, everybody.
All right.
How do I stop this?
Night.
Hang on.
I don't know.
I don't know either. I'll figure it out.
Maybe I'll boot you out. Hang on.
There we go. Here we go. Leaving now. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Okay. See ya. Wow. Okay. So there you have it. I thought it was just best to let Amanda have the floor tonight because, you know, well, it's been a bumpy day for both of us. Do you know what I mean? It's been very emotional. When the bill was tabled, I was in tears. So was Amanda. You know, it's been a really emotional day. And then I was coughing a bit of crap on TikTok. Amanda was getting a flogging on SN7 on Twitter, and it was just too much. And we agreed to do the live tonight to explain the bill to people. But I mean, right up until 7 minutes before we came live, Amanda was still swatting the trolls away on Twitter. She was on my phone. I'm trying to cook me dinner as well at the same time. You know, yeah, I'm exhausted. She's exhausted. And hopefully she'll get some food and get some rest tonight, and she'll start putting it all together for everybody. Wow, what a ride, eh? What a ride. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted. Oh, what can I say? So anybody else want to say anything? I think Amanda's covered the important stuff for tonight. And I don't think there's anything I need to fill us in on. So Amanda's done the bulk of it. Why are you saying happy birthday to me? James Paradiso. The birthday of this page is October 15th, 2015. And that's when, ironically, we start everything will sort out for the basics card in October. Pixie's here. Here she is. I just woke her up, so she's a bit gloomy. I mean, she can't see the camera to look in it, but there you go. Yeah, look at that dot up there. That dot in the middle. Oh, thank you. I get beautiful nose bumps from her. Oh. Oh. Exhausted. Okie dokie. Wow, what a night. What a day. I'll sleep well tonight, that's for sure. But the main thing is, we won. The card's going. You know what I mean? And James Paradiso, that was Amanda Smith I had with me in live. That is Sano 7 admin. who've been working with me for 7 years on this, and with all of us, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, Amanda Rishworth did good. Justine Elliott did good. They all did good. They've been working around the clock to do it, and yeah, they did it. They come through. And a lot of people didn't think they did. They were going to, but they did. And we just had to hang in there. And then we just have to wait a little bit longer. But things will move fast now. I mean, Amanda and I will be checking the white papers to see when it comes up to date. Debates. She'll notify us when it happens. Or I know we'll find it anyway. We'll post everything now as it comes through. And yeah, September 19th, people will be able to start getting off the card without having to do opt-outs. So there's hope, there's future, and we'll go from there. All right, people. Well, I'll say good night, and wow, yeah, don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say. It's yeah, it's been a bumpy ride, that's for sure. Oh, Anthony has a heart. Yeah, the future does look better. It'll go through the Senate, Ron. Don't worry. Put it this way, Ron. You've got the Greens, you've got ALP, you've got Jackie Lambie team with her person Tammy. I can't remember her name. Tewell, I think her name is. Right, and then you've got David Pocock as well. You know, so yeah. Oh dear. So I'll keep plodding on and go from there. All right, people. We'll let you know. I want to try and get a date as to when it's going to the Senate, when it's going to be debated, and things like that. You know what I mean? Because we want to see if we can get to Canberra. You know, we're working on it. It depends. And I'm thinking now. This is me thinking. Okay, not carved in stone. But I'm thinking that if it does its readings through the House of Reps next week, and then it'll go through the Senate in the September sitting. That's what I think it's going to do, which will give us time to raise money to get to Canberra and other things. Okay, but we'll see. I'm still going to try and pin people down. I'd say things got really busy today because I was expecting a phone call and I didn't get it. So I'll text somebody tomorrow and say, hey, where's the phone call? Oh dear. Wow. I'm buggered. I am. I'm really buggered. Yeah. Thank you, Ron. That's a big help. Absolutely. It's a big help. For those that don't know, my TV is shit itself. And I've got blue stripes and a yellow screen. It's, yeah. And so thanks for that, Ron. And then anything, oh, there's a lot of stuff going on. I've got to get a canopy sorted for the scooter. I've got TV screwed. Thinking about going to Canberra, the whole bloody lot, you know what I mean? Jane, I did ban that person who posted that horrible link, and then I removed that link as well. So it's gone. Don't panic, it's gone. The Ruby Newbie link is gone. Just some idiot trolls banning the page with inappropriate content in the hope that it would get my page shut down, but it didn't work because they had to try a lot harder to do that. And we've been 7 years, and yeah, they tried to bring Say No 7 down twice. They closed her page down twice, and we got it back because they couldn't find anything wrong with her content because it was all correct. So, and when it happened, we got on in, and people went to bat, and her page was up in a couple of hours. It was back again, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we've been down that road many a time. I noticed my algorithms are off to this page. When I look at compared to before the election, our page reach was 750,000, with around about 360,000 people engaging with the comments and the posts. And at the moment, we're down about 30,000. The algorithm's been off all through the election period, and all through this last 6 weeks or so since the election. The algorithm for this page has been off for nearly 3 months. So, like the page, share the content, like the comments, whatever you can do to get it back onto people's news feeds, because I had comments from people saying that we've dropped off their news feeds, and it's hard because then you've got to manually try and find, stop ABC fact checking. We already went to war with them and we beat them as well, right? They tried it on with Amanda and they lost terribly on Twitter. They really did lose because they were concentrating on one Hindu contract, and we had 25 of them. And it's like, well, what about the other 24 contracts? Okay. So, ABC fact checking is far from fact checking. We've seen that before, and we've debunked a lot of their stuff, and we've rebutted a lot of their stuff. And even today, when I did an interview with the ABC guy, I said to him afterwards, you must distinguish the difference between the cashless debit card and the basics card. You can't just say the cashless debit card is going, but then people are going to be staying on the card, because without saying the basics card, people get confused. I said, ABC's done it a couple of times now. They've done it even today in another article they've done. And it's like, I just feel like you want to go and smack these people with a wet fish, but oh my God, just by language, by not using one word to differentiate between the two programs, right? Really changes the context of the article that they're writing. Yeah, Jetta said they may as well hook up with Sky. Perfect marriage. Yep, they've gone tabloid, as somebody said the other night. It's just ridiculous what's happened to ABC. But then again, when you look back critically, who facilitated the media for the Northern Territory intervention? The ABC. Q&A. Tony Jones. Oh, they let the Marlborough staffer, the fake social worker, onto the ABC to complain about all these issues that brought about the Northern Territory intervention. They were complicit, and they ran the government line, and they've been doing the same with the OMP for the last 9 years. It is a breath of fresh air. I did watch some of Parliament this morning, other than the cashless debit card. Um, um, and I love the way Albo says to Dutton at one stage, basically he's like, congratulations on becoming the opposition leader. All right, I hope to see you on the opposition for a very, very, very long time. But the way he said it was just so deadpan, and it was like, since that was smooth. Do you know what I mean? And like, yeah, it was good. It's good to have a different. I'll watch more of Parliament now. I'll probably watch more of Question Time now too, because I want to see. Yeah, there's more. This is going to be more interesting, that's for sure. And more's going to get done. So, what a relief. The Northern Territory intervention was brought in by the Howard government in 2007, and it went in and they sent the army in and they took control of communities on country, and they slapped everybody on basics card, and it was just terrible. What they did to Aboriginal people was shocking. In 2007, it was absolutely disgusting. So go Google NTER in capitals, Northern Territory intervention, and you'll see it. And it was all based on a big lie, which caused the town to become, let's put it this way, a lot of people didn't survive it, and They sent the army in, and Aboriginal women were grabbing their children and running into the bush because they were so scared. They didn't know what was going on. They thought they'd come to take their children, you know, which had been done in the past. And they ran into the bush. It was disgusting what Howard government did, the LNP did. And they didn't. And when Abbott got in and he come pretty fast, and here we go again. They went again. But they wanted to expand it to all of us. And that was the thing. But they didn't get away with it. Thank God. Oh, I'm glad. I'm so glad we were able to see a change of government come in, and everybody here stood up, and everybody here contributed to getting this result. Because the people that have been on our pages, that have rang the senators, done the submissions, signed the petition, protested on the streets, been here all the way along. Thousands and thousands of you did it as well. Couldn't have done it without you. You know? Wow. All right, people. Well, I'm going to say goodnight. If you want to chip into anything, just give me an email, send me a message. If you want to help out with anything, let me know. I never knock back any chip-ins for anything. Still got bills to pay every month, phone and the internet to keep going. Stuff like that. I'm not going anywhere. Amanda will take a month off. And she won't be back in the same capacity once the end of the card's done. But like she said, raise the rate and other things we can do. I won't be able to do a campaign as intense and as full on as what we've been doing. I won't be able to do the advocacy that I've been doing, but the other groups that deal with raise the rate and people on Social Security, they already have advocacy in place. So there's plenty of people out there that can help with advocacy with people on job seeker and youth allowance and stuff like that. But we will, keep the page going and keep the pressure up to change things for the better for everybody. Everybody. All right? And we're going to make sure that our vote, no one left behind, means hello. We're not going to be invisible anymore, and you're not going to leave us behind. All of us out here that aren't workers anymore, or the casual workers that are on the 0-hour contracts and gig economy and all that sort of stuff, and the disabled and the carers looking after their parents and things like that, and our kids trying to get jobs. We can all play a part. We have the power of our voices. It's huge. Look what we've just done. And we can do it. Okay. All right, people. I'll say good night. Take care. James Paradiso. I've been doing this for 7 years. But I've also been personally advocating for cardholders on the phone, in message box, in person. That's the side of it that I'm not going to be able to keep up with. Do you know what I mean? Mentally, I've been carrying the trauma of hundreds of cardholders that have come to me. I don't have any mental health support myself. Since the change of government, I've been hugely depressed, and I couldn't understand why, and people were telling me it's a trauma response. And every time somebody has a problem with the card, boom, I go off, because nobody should be living with the trauma. Even as stoic as I've been and as broad-shouldered as I've been along the years, and look at my videos, right, and how composed I've been. Remember, every one of those card holders that I've spouted their story about, the people I remember coming to my house crying and shaking with their 3 kids, the people I met at the Christmas parties, the people I've met at our barbecues, the people I've met at our protests, the card holders I've met along the years, and their trauma, their stories, their hardships. I've got to release it somehow, and I'm having a hard time with that, and I'm not ashamed to admit it. It takes its toll, and then a million fucking trolls on top that not only try and undermine me, my character, my integrity, they try and undermine Amanda, and they try and undermine my health. And they personally pick at me, and it's like, there's only so much a koala can bear. Seriously, you know, I'm not a robot. I do have feelings. And yeah, I do have to try and find a way for self-care as well. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll get there. I am very appreciative of the family that of the internet family that I've been a part of for 7 years, and I don't want to lose that. You know, you guys out there have been more family to me than my own family. My own family doesn't ring me up and say, "How you going?" There's been nobody on the phone today to say congratulations from my family. You know what I mean? And that's hard. But I've got you guys out there, and I've got my TikTok family, and you guys got no idea, all right, how much that means to people like me. You know? But anyway, one special person sending me lots of hugs. Thank you very much. I couldn't have done it without you guys. You know what I mean? Couldn't have done it. The supports that some people have given me have gone far beyond that people understand. You know? Yeah. All right, people, I'm exhausted. I have to go. And yeah, as I said, if you want to chip in, send me a message. All right? 'Cause I'll keep going, but not at the capacity that I've been. You know? But I'll still keep going. I'll still have a voice for people. I'll still stand up for people. There's been many a time that I've seen something and I wanted to scream it, but it's not been part of Cash's debit card, so I haven't. When the card's ended, I can do more on this page, and we can talk about more things, and we can grow a bigger voice. And you know, we know we can get our voices heard if we do it the right way. So I've got the hint, David. I like the gift. All right, people. I'll say good night. I've got messages coming in the message box too. So hang on. Oh my God. And this is the crap that Amanda has to put up with on TikTok. Aren't they retaining the ability to force unwitting Indigenous people onto basics, though? Surely this bill could be passed without doing that. So this is what Amanda's tearing her hair out about. Yeah, okay. Wow. See what it never stops. But anyway, we don't give up either. All right, people. No, take care, and I'll talk to you guys later. And we'll keep the page updated, and we'll keep you guys updated all the way along. And hopefully, depending on the time, Amanda and I hope to be standing in the gallery of the Senate the day that thing is gone. All right. Unfortunately, we won't be able to video for you. I won't be able to do a TikTok from the gallery of the Senate because they won't let you have your phone up there. They won't let you have anything up there. But maybe somebody might be able to video it. We'll find out. But that's what we'd like to be able to do, to get that closure for ourselves as well. All right. All right. Night, people. See ya.